Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the predictions for the Final Resolution 2012. This is a very interesting prediction. You see, Final Resolution will be my first prediction for the end of the year. This is my first one. And this is very, very interesting to see how the end of the year is going to be for TNA. You see, in the last 8 to 9 months, TNA has turned their company around from 2011 and 2010. They made horrible mistakes when they did the Immortal segments. They ruined their product from 2010 until now, at least in the last 9 months. They really turned their product around. This is the last pay-per-view of the year. So, knowing that they changed right now compared to the WWE, where they looked like they weren't getting that much traction. They were like this. Then they started dipping like this by the time of the first 2010 elections. Then they kind of leveled off a little bit. Then it looked like they might have been going up a little bit. And then they dipped straight down and hit the ground and made a hole in the ground like a big crater. Which is where they are right now. The WWE has to dig themselves out of the hole right now because they went whoosh, and a big explosion happened, and they're just in the crater. They're trying to get themselves out right now. But compared to the WWE, TNA never really got that bad. I know that people could not stand the Immortal segments. I understand that. I don't blame them. I saw it myself. I didn't like it, the way they were structuring the show. It was horrible. But by the end of 2011 to 2012, in the beginning of it, is when they really began to go from being down, not hitting the ground and making a big crater, and they slowly made an arc to go straight back up. Now, obviously, TNA is no match for WWE when it comes to cash. They don't even have even close to the amount necessary. They don't. But this is not always about how much cash you can make within a year. This is how well you can make a product in a year. And I know that's kind of funny to hear that because, by my perspective, you don't always get a huge return on making a good product. A lot of times the product needs to be known more than it needs to get cash coming in. Because eventually, if you get known and doing good work, even if you're not getting something back in return, in other words, getting a revenue, the next year you could actually get a greater revenue than the year that you didn't make much. It's like if you start yourself a company. Essentially, you need to get out there, and sometimes you have to take a hit before you can get a great gain. Now, TNA has taken a hit from 2012 from 2010 into late 2011, and by the beginning of 2012 is when they began to return and began to show a better product, which at the end of the year they're going to begin to see a better gain, so that stocks will get better, they'll get more people coming in, and eventually they'll start getting more money. So this is how my order is going to be. I know that was kind of lengthy, I'm sorry, but I want to explain my thoughts about this because I made this card much different than I think anyone else would make it. I don't believe this is going to be the order, but this is what I believe might be. If they go by this, it might be possible and it may actually work. Now, the X Division in the last couple of pay-per-views has not been prominently featured. I mean, as the first match of the night. I'm not saying it hasn't been totally prominently featured. It hasn't. There's been a lot of problems with the X Division. When Austin Aries was there, it was very prominently featured. But it wasn't always the one that opened the show. I believe this time it's going to open the show. So, RVD versus Kenny King. Kenny King has been there for quite a while now, since Destination X. On and off we've seen him, but not very much. He's been, from what I understand, in OVW. Do I believe this is going to be a good match? I believe at first it's going to be maybe a little choppy. But then once the end comes up, it's going to be good. Who I believe is going to win. This is a very subjective thing because I don't believe they're going to get rid of RVD yet. This is my feeling. I'd be glad if Kenny King, long live the King, baby. I'm going to call Kenny King that from now on, if I don't forget. Long live the King, Kenny King. I'll be glad if he wins. It'll be a nice change. But the question is going to be, will the belt be featured in 2013? That's the problem I see. They barely featured RVD. They barely featured him. Now the problem is going to be, if he has not been featured, what would be the point of putting someone new in there? I mean, it'll be great to see Kenny King there, and if they feature the man, I would love to see Kenny King win. And if he does win, I'm going to be happy. But do I believe he'll win? No. Because they haven't probably featured RVD in the X Division at all. He's seen a couple of matches, but not much. So I'm very skeptical that he'll lose. So I'm going to leave it at that. The next match, I believe, I'm kind of conflicted between match number 2 and match number 3. So I think I'm going to switch them. Match number 2 would have been match number 3, ladies and gentlemen. The one final match between AJ and pretty much Christopher Daniels. The reason I'm putting it so low on the card is the question of what is going to happen to AJ. We already know from the last Impact that AJ and pretty much James Storm has been having a conflict. I have this feeling that there's going to be some type of shenanigans that's going to be done during the match. I do not believe this is going to be a clean match. I don't. I believe that something's going to happen, that maybe James Storm is going to come out. I know I thought this earlier when I did my Impact review. One of them has to turn heel. Austin Aries, or it's going to be... No, not Austin Aries. I'm so sorry. I got a lot on my mind. When it comes to James Storm, and I'm sorry about Austin Aries, James Storm or AJ Styles, one of them has to turn heel. It's obvious. They're already having a conflict, but we don't know when this starts. It's possible it could start a Final Resolution. If this match is early, I believe that AJ Styles may either turn heel, which I doubt, but I do believe that James Storm is going to come out and is going to do something that's going to cost AJ Styles a match. And that's the road for one of them to turn heel. This is what I truly believe. That James Storm may come to the ring. He may be there for being still a good guy, but he may screw AJ Styles accidentally. And that is when possibly AJ Styles will turn heel. As I said earlier in this section, that something's going to go on where AJ Styles may turn heel. It's either that or James Storm is about to turn heel and he's going to screw AJ Styles. But I think it's the latter. I think James Storm is going to come to the ring and probably try to keep, pretty much, watch AJ's back. Because he's worried about Kaz coming out to do something, which Kaz could do. Kazarian could come out to the ring as well, maybe beforehand, to try and screw AJ. He may even be there at ringside at the beginning of the match. So it's a good possibility that could happen. Who do I believe will win? I believe Daniels will win this one because he has not beaten AJ. I believe this is his chance. And this is the road to start that feud between AJ and Storm. Now the match that switched between 2 and 3 is Aces and Eights versus Angle, West, Joe, and Garrett Bischoff. That's a lot of a mouthful right there, ladies and gentlemen. With Devon, whoever he brings, maybe Doc's with him, and maybe a couple other guys in mask, I don't know if this is going to be a very good match. This could be a cluster, because not all the time 4-on-4 tag teams work out very well. There have been times where they do work, but since this was said at the Go Home show, it's hard to say this is actually going to work out. I'm very skeptical that it's going to, and it may lead into something happening. It may just be something to progress the storyline for Aces and Eights. Who do you believe is going to win? It's possible Aces and Eights will win, but there's a good possibility because of what happened with, pretty much with Al Snow. Some type of shenanigans is going to happen in this match. Because of the question of Wes Briscoe, it could still be with Garrett Bischoff. I know this is still a very, very, very distant distant thing because I said it months ago. Garrett could be a part of Aces and Eights. That might not happen, but you never know if Wes Briscoe could be a part of Aces and Eights. I know it's a very, very distant one, but because of the question mark with Garrett, because of the question mark with, why not? With Garrett and with Wes, because it was so featured in the last couple of months. And that Wes won by beating Garrett. Garrett is not the best wrestler to stick up on gut check. But they used him to get Wes over. That makes you think there's got to be something going on there. So is Aces and Eights going to win that match? It's a good possibility they will. And something's about to happen that's going to help them. Maybe one of the wrestlers on Angle's team. Maybe it will be Garrett. Maybe it will be Wes. Something about it. So I'm going to move on from there. The next one, which will be the fourth match, will be the World Tag Team Champions. We got Superman and we got pretty much Chavo versus the Big Slong and the Big Man, Ryan and Morgan. This is going to be interesting to see how Ryan and Morgan tag team. I do not know if Ryan and Morgan are going to be well together. It's a good possibility they will, but it's hard to tell. I don't know if Chavo and Superman's going to lose it here. I am really open-ended on this one. I have no idea who's going to win. It would be obvious to say that Chavo and Superman are going to retain. Or you could say pretty much Ryan and Morgan are going to win. Because you need to get Morgan, you need to get Ryan over. It would be the best thing to say, but it's hard to tell with this because at least from my perspective, Chavo's eventually going to break away from Superman and is going to go on his own eventually into the world title scene. There is no way he's going to go for the X Division, and I doubt he's going to go for the TV title. If he does, it's going to be brief. This is what I believe. I still believe Chavo is going to become a world champion eventually. Do I believe that's a good thing? I'm not saying that. It could be a mixed bag there. I don't know if it'll work for him or not. He's not a bad... Pretty much he would be good in the X Division. He wouldn't be bad in the world title picture. Sorry. But as a world champion, I don't know. I really do not know if he would be good in that. He's not bad in the mid-card at all. He's a good mid-card champion. When he was in WWE, he wasn't bad. Going up against Rey Mysterio, there was some good battles there. Yeah, there was some stinkers. Oh, it was some stinkers. But there was some good ones. He can be great in mid-card, but I doubt when he came to TNA, he said, I'm going to sign on to be in the mid-card. I got no problem being a mid-card or working the undercard with the X Division or the World Championship. If you were like that, you're crazy. Because if I was going there, I would want, if I had to go for X Division and World Championship, the television championships, all right. But I want at least one shot at the World Championship. So I believe he's going for it. So the question is going to be, will this last between Hernandez and Chavo for very long? I'm taking a guess. Really, it's hard to say. There's a good chance they'll keep or a good chance they'll lose. But in the end, they're going to break up. So I'm going to leave it at that. The next match, number 5, is going to be Bully Ray or Austin Aries. I would rather say with 6, but it's hard to say. No, you know what? I take that back. It's not going to be 6. It's not. The one that's coming in 5th will be the Knockouts Championship, Tara versus Mickie Jane. Usually they're at least the 3rd to the end or 2nd. Usually they're 3rd. Sorry, my mistake. They're usually 3rd to the end of whatever they're doing for their pay-per-views. The reason I said it the last one because we already got a whole bunch of people back. And I thought it would be better that they would be 2nd to last. But I don't think they'll do that. So how do I think the match is going to go? It's going to be a standard match between Mickie Jane and Tara. They can do great matches and they can do stinkers. But I believe this will be a great match. I do believe it. Do I believe Mickie Jane's going to turn heel? No. She hasn't turned heel yet. And a lot of people I've heard think she's eventually going to turn heel. I would like her to turn heel. I want to see her as a bad girl. But I don't think they're going to do it this year. Maybe next year. You never know. And then there's still the question of what's going to happen with Velvet Sky. Will she come to the ring? Will she just watch? Will she distract both of them? I'd rather have seen Velvet Sky come back the next week. That would have made it better. because there's a good chance she will come to the ring. I don't believe she's going to turn heel, but we don't know her personality right now because she sounds like a face, but doesn't mean she is one. Who will win? I think Tara's not going to lose the belt. She'll probably retain it, but there's probably something's going to happen. Maybe, like I said, Velvet Sky will come out. Maybe we'll have someone else. I wouldn't mind if an extra person came out at that time. Honestly, Angelina Love is needed right now if she's still there. I understand that supposedly Velvet Sky, when she came back, she said, I thank Brooke Hogan for bringing me back. But I'm wondering that time when she got that phone call, was that for Velvet Sky? I don't think so. It would be great if that was Angelina Love. But we won't know until the pay-per-view, so I'm going to leave it at that. Tara probably will retain, and we'll get some type of segment next week. The second to final will be Bully Ray versus Austin Aries. This is going to be interesting because now we got two competitors who have now switched positions. You got a face and a heel switch. We got Bully Ray, who's an edgy face, and Austin Aries, who's a very nasty heel that sometimes acts very mousy, chicken shit. But I'm sure they're going to do one hell of a good match. They didn't do a bad match last time. It was great, the last match. So now we're going to see something different. Who do I believe is going to win? I don't know. I'm going to say nothing for this one because having Brooke Hogan in the mix is going to be a question mark. Will Brooke Hogan come down to the ring? Will Austin Aries show something and reveal something while the match is going on or beforehand? This is going to be a very interesting question. I believe Austin Aries somewhere during the night, if he's interviewed, will say something and reveal something. It would be a good segment if he did. If I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong. But I don't know who's going to win this. I don't. But maybe Brooke Hogan will come down and add something to the flavor of the match and of the storytelling. Hopefully, if she does, it'll be very short. If they make it short and sweet, it'll be good. Unlike WWE, TNA has done this right when they have to do some type of feud that's having some romance in it. At least this one, not talking about Eric Young and ODB. That one is a mess. But they made it very short. So I'll leave it at that. Now the final bit. Rude versus Hardy. I left a little bit of a hint on my last Impact saying that I don't believe Hardy's going to lose, and I still believe that. I don't believe Hardy's going to lose this belt. I don't. It would be interesting to see Rude win it, but it's also a question mark, is Storm going to stay a face? If Storm turns heel, which I do not believe they will be crazy enough to do that because they still haven't resolved the feud between Storm and Rude. They have not done it yet. But the question is going to be, if Storm turns heel, you could still have Robert Roode win. But it would be better if Robert Roode wins and then you would have Storm come after him. But then what would Hardy do? They've been pushing Hardy hard for almost a year now. They brought him back after what happened in Victory, I believe it was Victory Road, and he's done great. But the question's going to be, oh, come on. Can't you stay up? Sorry, my paper just doesn't stick today. What will they do? I still believe Hardy will not lose. I don't. I believe that Storm might turn heel, and I hope he doesn't. I'm telling you, people may think right now, if anyone's watching this, you're thinking, I'd rather see Storm turn heel. No, I want to see the ending of the feud between Storm and Rude. Either they become friends again, or something else will finally break them apart where they need to be separated and work on something else. Because there's still that thing that's lingering over them. So Storm is a question. Rude winning is connected to that. So I can't say who wins. Except that if Hardy wins, that means the feud between Storm and Rude may still go on. So I'll leave it at that. How do I believe this show is going to be? I believe it'll be a good show. And you never know what they're going to add in the show. Maybe there'll be some extra people who are going to show up. We don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen with the knockouts, because Brooke Hogan may have been talking about someone other than Velvet Scott. We don't know what's going to happen in the one last match between Christopher Daniels and AJ. Maybe Storm may show up there. Aces and Eights against Kurt Angle, against Wes, and against Joe and Garrett Bischoff. There's still also a question mark what's going to happen there. So I'm going to say it's still a very good show that may come out, and there may be some little surprises that are going to be in store for us. So I hope you like the this prediction of Final Resolution 2012. I'm sorry. It's been a very long day for me. I hope you subscribe and comment to Zane's View, and I hope you like how the show has been going, that I've been doing, my debate of the week, my prediction here, and I hope you will like my review of Final Resolution. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.